Good evening, everyone. Welcome to CPUN's November community meeting. I'm Jeff Horsfall. I'm the president of Central Park United Neighbors. Thank you for joining us. Next slide, please, Mark. Just real quick about our organization. CPUN is the registered neighborhood organization for the Central Park community in Denver. We are here to facilitate dialogue and create awareness around opportunities to engage on topics of importance to this community. We help people to find their way into a process so that resident questions, concerns, and ideas for a better community can be addressed in a constructive and inclusive way. We promote public service, civil civic discourse, and collective efficacy. At monthly meetings and through the work of our 6 working committees, CPUN facilitates discussion of key issues with neighbors, engages in proactive problem avoidance, and amicable problem solving. CPUN is committed to providing an inclusive and welcoming environment for all members of our community. We are an all-volunteer board of your neighbors and a registered 501c3. Next slide, please, Mark. Just a quick run through of our agenda tonight. Our outreach hour, which will run until about 7:30, will feature updates from each of our 6 working committees, as well as a number of community partners who join us on a regular basis. One of those will be our special guest presenter this evening. Eric from Northeast Transportation Connections is going to take a little extra time to talk a bit more about his organization. We'll then conclude with 5 minutes of public comment before moving on to the board meeting, which will commence at 7:30. Mark, next slide, please. We'll do committee reports. There is an active community survey, which I'll talk a little bit more shortly, but we've got to talk a little bit about how we're going to deploy the information that comes out as a result of that survey. I want to discuss guest speaker sign-up opportunities amongst committee members. There is a matter of a letter to the city regarding Sand Creek Regional Greenways mural project, and then we'll conclude with the treasurer's report. Next slide. So before we proceed, I just want to make a couple of announcements. One, as I just briefly mentioned, our community survey is open through November 24th. We encourage all residents to visit the URL that's included in the slide there, the bit.ly link specifically, and take the survey. It's your chance to share your thoughts about life in our community on everything from health and safety, education, community events, traffic, and more. Your feedback will help CPUN and other stakeholders meet community needs. CPUN does not give away any identifying personal information such as a phone number, email address, or home address. If you have any questions or comments about the survey, you are welcome to email us at centralparkunitedneighbors@gmail.com, and we look forward to hearing from you. Second thing I want to announce is that our December board meeting, which would normally be held on December 21st, is being moved to December 14th. The time will not change. It will remain 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. The reason for the change is to be just a bit more accommodating of holiday schedules, as well as to maximize opportunity for community members to participate in a community vote on 3 potential CPUN bylaw changes. And we've talked about these bylaw changes over the last several months. These changes, which are each a separate vote, would one, expand of our board to 19 seats. It's currently 15 seats. Expand the geographic footprint of CPUN to residents with an Aurora address. And then expansion of officer roles to include a former president role on our group of officers. To be clear, these are not votes of our board. This is a community vote. Every eligible resident in attendance at the December meeting will be allowed to vote. All residents of Central Park with a Denver address and that are 18 years or older and personally present at the meeting may cast 1 vote. It will take a 66% affirmative vote to pass the bylaw change or to have it be adopted. And you must be a Central Park resident with a Denver address. Proxy and absentee votes are not permitted. To learn more about the proposed changes, be sure to sign up for our email list as well as our Facebook page, where we have and will continue to post information about why we are proposing these changes. And real quick, one other thing I want to mention, congratulations to the Northfield Nighthawks boys soccer team who won the state championship last week. And congratulations to all of our community's fall sports teams on a successful season. All right, let's move on to committee updates. Next slide, please, Mark. This is an opportunity for our committees just to share any specific opportunities they might have over the next month or so to participate in their work. Do any of the committees have something they'd like to share with the community in that regard? If not, we can move on to community partners. Going once, twice. All right. Next slide there, Mark, please. Community updates. I'd like to welcome first Officer Jenkins from Denver Police Department to share any updates she might have.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a while since I've seen you guys. So for the crime statistics, violent crime is unfortunately up 3.9%. Property crime is up 35.7%. And then total crime is up 2.8%. And the reason you see the difference there between that property crime increase and total crime increase is really, it's typical for us to see property crime go up during the holidays. Folks are getting more packages, leaving more shopping bags and things of that sort in their vehicles. And unfortunately, those things are getting taken. So I'm sure a lot of you saw my post on Nextdoor today, just posting some information on how to keep our property and valuables safe, such as, not leaving those shopping bags in plain sight at the Northfield Mall when you are shopping for your gifts for this holiday season, and taking those valuables in the home with you, such as your laptops and computers from work. You go inside for the evening, take those with you. And then as always, lock doors and park and well areas and or a garage if you have one. I know we've talked about that a lot, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. I did receive various community complaints over the weekend in regards to the warehouse area over on 40th Avenue in relation to like a motorcycle almost rally / street racing concern of it being loud and disruptive and obviously unsafe. So those businesses I've discussed in the past are working with us and do have an active no trespass agreement in place for that area. So should you hear this or you drive by and you know that it's going on, please give us a phone call so we can get officers over there. I did send that information over to our sergeant that is part of the street race task force to increase efforts in dealing with that. And I believe Carol had a question in relations to traffic. Carol, do you want to just kind of restate your question so everyone knows what I'm referring to?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if there were any specifics you could offer around the speeding that goes on around the community and the running stop signs and what DPD is doing, if you could. And in my email to you, I said, the area I know best is obviously the area that I live in. And when folks are driving, getting off Northfield Boulevard and going north, which ends where they end up at 56th and, Dick's Place and all that. It's people are, driving 35, 40 miles per hour on neighborhood streets. I'm not talking about on Central Park Boulevard or Northfield Boulevard. I'm talking about just, through our neighborhoods. And so that's really the area I can speak to the most, but I know it's a chronic problem here. So I just was wondering if you could chat about that.
Yes, so traffic are safety concerns that we're continuing to try to combat and deal with. Unfortunately, just like everyone throughout the city and I mean nationwide, we're experiencing some staffing issues as well with folks retiring. So we still have Officer Pollard who does work during the morning hours. So he works Tuesday through Friday, 6 to 4 p.m. We also have our traffic unit officers who work Monday through Saturday And I know that they have various shifts, but don't work after about 7 p.m. in the evening. And then we have our DUI unit that assists and works the evening hours. They come in about 6 and they stay until, I believe that's 4 in the morning. So if they're out there conducting enforcement, but if there's any areas you know of in specific, you can shoot me an email and I can forward it on to them. Or you can go to the denvergov.org website, and there is a link where you can report your traffic and safety concerns there. We were doing a lot of pedestrian safety grants, but as the weather gets cooler and it's getting darker in the evening, it's been a little bit more difficult for us to do that. But I have notated that location, and I know a lot of folks have been asking about help with traffic control for drop off and pickup hours at the schools. Unfortunately, since we lost our SROs, and then again, just with the short staffing, we don't have enough officers to commit to doing that each day when there are other higher priority calls for service holding in the queue. So traffic is a huge concern. We want everyone to be safe, and we want you guys to feel safe in your neighborhood. So please let us know what areas of concern I can request additional enforcement in.
Thanks, I'll do that. And as I said to you in the email, then thanks for mentioning schools, because I've been walking some neighbor kids over to school to Willow, and I was stunned when with drop off and pickup at the speeding right in front of the school.
Yes, absolutely. I know that it's frustrating. We're trying. Does anybody else have any specific neighborhood questions?
Brad does.
Officer Jenkins, one along those same lines is kind of what Carol was talking about. Do you think it'd be possible in future meetings you could give us stats similar to what you give us around like violent crime, property crime, around like traffic violations that your team works on in the neighborhood? I'd be curious to kind of see those stats month over month to see just general baseline levels, and then how it ebbs and flows throughout the year.
Yeah, going forward, I can reach out to the analyst to get some information. Officer Pollard does send me a weekly report of what areas he conducted enforcement, how many arrests were issued, how many citations were issued, and in which area. So I can also provide you guys with some of that information.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Very helpful.
Anybody else?
Yeah, Officer Jenkins, I'm wondering if perhaps either in December or January, you might be able to provide kind of a summary of the progress of that street racing task force over the past year. I think that's been a big point of concern in the community, and hearing the progress that's been made over the last year might be helpful, as well as to get a sense of where they're going next. And if that is better coming from someone on the task force, I'm sure we can accommodate the time as well.
Yeah. I fortunately was just promoted to corporal. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So I will be back on the road teaching brand new recruits how to be cops and keep the community safe. So I will give this information over to Lieutenant Hines, but it shouldn't be an issue to at least coordinate and get somebody from the task force to possibly be on the next meeting and maybe be a guest speaker. I know that you kind of talked about looking for some guest speakers.
Yeah.
So definitely an option. And then the last thing I have is just a reminder that the commander's meeting is on Thursday. So if you want to hear additional crime statistics and dive a little bit deeper into that, it'll be Thursday at 6:00 p.m. and I will put the virtual information in the chat.
Well, Officer Jenkins, congratulations again. And on behalf of CPUN, thank you for all of your time over the past few years. We've loved having you.
Thank you. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be patrolling your neighborhood still. So I'll be around. You'll run into me somewhere.
Any other questions for Officer Jenkins? Corporal Jenkins? If not, I see Amanda Schultz from Councilman Herndon's office.
Hey, Jeff, we actually got somebody raise their hand.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I overlooked it. Was it?
I think it was me. I'm Sarah from Bluff Lake. Hello.
Oh, hi, Sarah.
I was trying to do clapping. I'm sorry. I'm not used to doing this on my phone. I was trying to clap, not raise my hand, so I apologize.
Okay. I appreciate your enthusiasm. Amanda, are you there? Schultz?
Hi, I am
Hi.
here. Thanks so much for having me. Sorry you're not getting my video tonight. I'm not in a good spot for that, but hopefully we'll get you some nice clear audio. So I don't have a ton of announcements. Really, the biggest thing for us right now is a reminder, if folks are interested in booster shots for COVID, there are several mobile clinics happening around the neighborhood. There's actually one happening over at McGlone on Thursday. And then I know there's a couple scheduled here soon in the Commerce City area. The other big thing is our annual holiday toy drive. We are super excited for that. And all of the toys and gift cards that we collect this year will go to children and teens at the Boys and Girls Clubs in our district. So that's the Broncos Boys and Girls Club in Montbello and the Vickers Club in Northeast Park Hill. One of the drop-off locations is Central Park Rec Center. And we are super excited to be able to accept gifts for kiddos from 6 all the way up through 18. Teenagers especially love gift cards. Those of you who have teens know this. Again, Central Park Rec Center is the closest drop-off. And if you have any questions about that or anything else city related, I will be here through the end of the meeting.
Thanks, Amanda. And with regard to the toy drive, Amanda's colleague Bonnie sent me a flyer that we can distribute on social media and through email. So we'll make sure we help get the word out there.
That would be wonderful. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, happy to. Let's see, do we have, I think Sarah from Mercy Housing is here.
Yep, that's
She's
me
gonna be
again.
on. Oh, there you are, yeah.
Yep. So I'm over at Bluff Lake, the Mercy Housing location, one of 2 in you guys' neighborhood. It's me at Bluff Lake. I'm on 31st and Havana, the big red and white building right across from the King Supers. And then there's also Parkside. They just don't have a representative to come to these meetings. But the big updates are the Amazon wish list that I sent out, or that I had Jeff send out, sorry, back in September. I can't say thank you enough. I finished going through the packages yesterday because there was a little bit of confusion about whether they're going to stay with me or go to Parkside. But in the end, I got to keep them for Bluff Lake. And honestly, I was almost in tears at how wonderful everybody came out. I mean, the donations were just absolutely wonderful. I can't say enough good things with soap and shampoo and feminine products, which I know are super yucky to talk about. Brooms, we got 10 brooms. I thought that was so cute. And the poppers that I was super excited about. So again, I just can't say thank you enough for the support. So thank you. And then also speaking of holiday toy drives, we also have a Amazon list for the kids at Bluff. I haven't sent the link to Jeff yet because I have like master access to it. I don't know how to share the one so that you guys can't edit it. Because that's not fair to y'all. Oh, sorry, that's my dog. So once I get that, I'm going to send it to Jeff so that he's able to share it with you guys. So sorry, that's 2 toy requests in a row. So I'm sorry about that. But yeah, does anyone have any questions about Bluff, about anything we're doing in the holidays, or just anything about us over there?
Are there any other lists going out in addition to the toy list as we approach the holidays here, Sarah, or is that the main one you need supplies for?
That would be the main one to get the kids covered. I've got a little bit of budget money, so I'm working on getting stuff for the teens because just like the previous lady said, teens tend to get left out. Not to say that they're not on the list. They are totally on the list, but I'm working on teens and young adults. But yeah, it's predominantly kid toys. And from Bluff, for Mercy Housing, that list will cover Bluff and Parkside. So not only me. So I sent you a flyer for just the master Mercy Housing like holiday collection, general holiday collection. It just says toys of all ages, pots and pans. That's kind of just the very general. And then the Amazon list, I can personalize it a little bit more. So I've been asking some of the kids and kind of making note of what they like to play with during after school. So the Amazon list is a little bit more personalized to the kids that I work with. But any ideas that anyone has, we are totally open to it. We would never turn anything away. Oh, it looks like Regina has some questions and a hand clap.
She
I
might be
do,
coughing.
yeah.
Oh, you do? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, Sarah. I was wondering if, I don't know, I know you're having the Thanksgiving dinner here at Bluff. Is it Thursday, right?
Correct. Yep, Thursday night.
Maybe some of the board members, if they have time, can drop by and meet some of the kids and some of the families that they're.
Absolutely. We have to be a little bit careful. It was just dropped on me today that we can only have 10 people in the room, which includes volunteers. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of shuffling. But yes, if any of you guys would like to drop by, I'm going to have a side door propped open just because the main front door to Bluff, it's a gated, or what's it? It's a coded door. But yes, if any of you are interested, my email is in all of these all of these communications. I'm Sarah with Mercy Housing. But yes, if any of you would like to drop by, kind of see what the property looks like briefly, just because I will be serving food too. But absolutely, anybody's welcome to drop by and kind of see what we're all about over there.
And I actually have a question related to the survey that we have going on. I wasn't sure if you've already been able to distribute the link in the email that we sent around with the community, because we would love to get, you know, folks from Bluff Lake to participate in our survey as well, because they're definitely part of the community.
So I have not seen a link. That doesn't mean it doesn't go out. I'm not going to lie. Every now and again, an email does get overlooked. But if you guys would like, I can definitely try. The residents are not super keen on doing surveys, especially computer surveys. Unfortunately, computer literacy is a bit low with our population, but doesn't mean I wouldn't try. I can definitely, I've been doing some computer classes and setting up laptops so that the adults can come down. Like today I did typing class, which was pretty fun. Oh, it's the bit one. Okay, thank you. But yeah, I can definitely give it a go.
Great.
Thanks, Sarah.
Of course.
Any other questions or thoughts for Sarah? If not, John Flanagan from the library is here with us.
Thank you.
John? Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, hi everybody. Let's see, I have a few updates from the library. I guess the first one I'll start with is, so I had mentioned a few months ago that one of the big exciting things when we reopened kind of post-lockdown was the Idea Lab at the library, which is a makerspace. It's been incredibly popular. It's super exciting. We've got 3D printer, laser cutter, sewing machines, jewelry making equipment, craft supplies. And so it's been really busy, you know, kind of from preschool all the way up to older adults. So it's been super exciting. And we have just been approved to hire a couple of youth assistants. So this will be, we're hoping that the positions will be posted mid-December. I believe December 17th is the proposed date for the posting, and I will share that when I have more info. But just kind of wanted to give a heads up. We will be hiring two 14 to 17-year-old teen, they're called, the official title is Teen Tech Assistants. And they will, it's a 10-hour-a-week position that'll be after school and Saturdays, and then during the summer, it'll be flexible depending on their schedule. We're very excited about that. It's basically people that are interested in tech and or making things. So people that are crafty, people that are good with coding. I mean, there's a lot of kind of possibilities, but also just the desire to work with people of all ages. So it's going to be a big help for us, and it's going to be great because we haven't really had the opportunity to have volunteers kind of for a while. So this is a way to have some involvement from the community, which we're super excited about.
Forgive me for interrupting, John, but is there a, are you accepting applications for that? Is there a
Not yet. So
okay.
I believe December 17th is going to be when it's posted. So I'm kind of getting out a little ahead of it right now, but I just kind of wanted to throw it out there for people, just, you know, in case you know people that are interested, to keep an eye out. And I will definitely spread the word when it becomes official.
Great. We're happy to help you do that.
Great. And then let's see, we also, I guess kind of big news, things have been moving along slowly at the library, just kind of inching along, trying to offer more services. And so we were really excited to be doing outdoor story times while the weather cooperated, which was really fun. We did them, we moved over and started doing them on the green on 29th Avenue, which was really fun. But of course the weather changed, and so we had to make different plans. And so we are now doing indoor story times. We can't have the huge capacity story times that we used to have at the Sam Gary Library due to COVID safety restrictions right now, but we're limiting it to 50 total people, adults and kids. And so we're doing all ages story times Tuesday and Wednesday at 10:30, and baby story times on Thursday at 10:30. And so those are, sign up is available 1 week in advance. And it's been going really well so far. We've been seeing actually a lot of new faces. I think there's been some turnover in the neighborhood over the last couple of years, and so it's been fun to see new faces and also old faces. But we're just excited to be interacting with kids. I got to do baby story time last week, and it was a blast to see giggling babies calling around our community room. So that's been really fun. We're looking forward to probably early next year being able to start doing more programming for the community. It's all been kind of trying to expand services as we can, but obviously being mindful about it and about safety. And the only other thing I was going to mention was that our large community room, and this holds true for all Denver Public Library locations, our community spaces are now once again reservable for use. So we have a large meeting room that is available for meetings. It's not, unfortunately, people can't have parties. That's one of the regulations, but pretty much anything else, as long as it's not a party. But for meetings, and we've had some people using it to help kids apply for college, just all sorts of stuff. But and the exciting thing is that it is now free of charge. So that's all available through the Denver Public Library website. It's available during open hours, as long as it's not in use by the library. But so we're excited about that. So we're just, kind of more and more people are coming in and using our services and checking things out. But that's a big one that we've been missing, is a free space for the community to use. So we are very excited about that. And I think that's probably all I have right now, unless anybody has any questions or anything.
Any questions for John? John, congratulations on getting to lead baby story time. You're a lucky guy.
Thank you. It's really wonderful.
I'm glad to hear things are going well at the library and that you're getting back up on your feet there.
Thank you.
Jack Seward, our board member, is also an employee of the MCA, and he's going to provide us with a quick MCA update.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you, Jeff. Wanted to remind everyone, our annual winter welcome is this Friday in the 29th Avenue Town Center. We look forward to seeing everyone there. It's a new re-envisioned winter welcome. We threw the old one out, and we've completely reimagined the concept in partnership with our new partners at Hobnob Events and Festivals. So we are very excited. Come see. We'll light up the town center. We'll turn the lights on, flip the trees. Also, we have an array of vendors and different activities. So we look forward to seeing the community on Friday. We missed the winter welcome last year because of COVID. So excited to have it back this year. A couple other things going on throughout the neighborhood. We are getting very close to finishing our 2021 alley repaving project. We've replaced just over 30 lane miles of alleyways throughout the neighborhood. Of course, if you have any concerns about your rear concrete alley, you can always email those to us at the MCA. We'll get those inspected and make the appropriate repairs. So wrapping those up as well. I know there's been a little disruption. When we replace the concrete, there's quite literally dirt after that process. So there is a period where you can't drive through your alley. So we appreciate the community's patience with us while we do that work. Just like everyone else, we do have a worker shortage. So we work hard to get that work done as quick as possible. We also have some motorhome RV concerns that we are working on with our partners at the Denver Police Department, have folks parking their motorhomes on the street for extended periods of time. And then we have a nice group of motorhomes that has been in residence for a couple of months now in the Dallas Street, Prairie Meadows area. So we're working with our colleagues at DPD to resolve those issues. Reminder, some roads in the Central Park community are not yet city roads, although they will all be city roads one day. Some roads are not yet city roads because they are new, still in the construction warranty period. So different parking regulations and abandoned vehicles, those types of things, the MCA will enforce those regulations during the warranty construction period. These are mostly the northern parts of the neighborhood. Pretty much everything north of 56th Avenue is still going to be in the warranty period. A good portion of stuff north of I-70 is going to be in the warranty period. And then there's still some spots south of I-70 that are in warranty. So have any concerns with streets, anything like that, you can also reach out to us and we can figure out who the responsible party is. Happy to answer any other questions. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jack. That was a good update. Any questions? Anyone? Jack, can you give me a taste of what has been reimagined for the winter welcome?
So we have brought, we're bringing more vendors in. So previously it was more of a show up. We have some activities for kids and whatnot. We have partnered with the same group that produces our farmers market, has also joined us in the production of this year's event. So we will have, I believe, and I haven't looked at the list recently to see if it's changed, but I believe we have somewhere between 25, 30 vendors that'll be there as well. So we've added that along with some new activities and whatnot. So it'll be very exciting this Friday.
Thanks, Jack. Do you have any other community partners here? I think I've got everyone on my list covered here. Yeah, I think we're all right. And so I'll turn it over to our guest speaker next, who should be a familiar one to regular attendees of this meeting. Eric Herbst is the Assistant Director for Northeast Transportation Connections. And I wanted to give Eric just a little bit more time this month to talk about Northeast Transportation Connections work more broadly, rather than kind of the immediate updates that he regularly provides us with. So Eric, well, I'll turn it over to you. And if you want to share slides, I think we can accommodate that.
Yeah, I'm going to try to share my screen here. All right.
Yeah, you look good.
Perfect. So yeah, thank you guys for having me. Yeah, as Jeff mentioned, I wanted to give kind of maybe a more in-depth kind of overview of NETC, which is Northeast Transportation Connections, and what we are all about. So we are your local TMA, which is the Transportation Management Association. Basically, we're your local transportation nonprofit. Our mission is to reduce the number of people driving alone on the road. This decreases pollution, hopefully cuts down on traffic, and helps our community live more healthy, active lives. You may not know this, but we're actually one of 8 TMAs in the Denver region. So you can see the map there on the right, all the way up to Boulder, kind of covering Longmont, Thornton, Highway 36. You can see Northeast Transportation Connections there kind of in the middle. Then we have downtown Denver partnership. There's one around like Cherry Creek, and then one down by the Denver Tech Center. There's actually one missing on this map. The newest one is the West TMA, which covers kind of like Lakewood out to like Golden, kind of like I-25 to Golden, basically, kind of along the Colfax corridor there. So yeah, we're one of 8. We all get similar funding. We're basically commuter consultants helping develop customized commute plans for employers and their employees. We're a little different because we formed out of the Central Park community, where most of these TMAs kind of formed around more of a dense kind of employment center, kind of like the Tech Center, downtown Denver, downtown Boulder, those TMAs. So we kind of formed from the old development of the Stapleton Airport alongside with the foundation and kind of the Green Book, which was the sustainable kind of neighborhood development, talking about mobility and sustainability back when kind of TDM was kind of just being thrown around, kind of that transportation demand management. And so basically all the TMAs get similar funding. We all work together to improve air quality, reduce congestion, and work on that transportation demand management. So basically that means turning single occupant vehicles, people driving alone, into more of multimodal commuters. So people just knowing their options of how to get around. I think a lot of people have a misconception that we're asking people to like bike 100% of the time or not at all. Like it's everything or nothing. But really we want you just to try different options and to know your options so that when you do need it, you know how to do it and it's really helpful. And that way we kind of easily default to grabbing our keys, jumping in our car because it's convenient. But as you kind of do these other modes and learn them, we hope that those other modes become as convenient and kind of getting that behavior will just make it that much easier when you do need it. So some annual regional programs that we do that you may be familiar with. One is Go-tober. It's a commuter challenge for the month of October. So we just finished that up for 2021. So it's basically we get businesses to sign up. They compete against similar sized businesses in getting their employees to track trips. They kind of like have like a top score. And it's a fun way to challenge them to incentivize their employees to get to work in other modes other than driving alone. We actually had a #1 company, Native Roots, that has been doing a stellar job with tracking trips. They have a really big sustainability department. So that really helps having kind of that cause with their business, which helps them kind of get people to not drive alone. The other big one that you guys should all know about by now is Bike to Work Day. So that's obviously to encourage people to bike to work, to try it out for the day when there's a ton of support so that you get comfortable with your route so that you hopefully then translate that biking into your daily commute over time. Another great resource that we have in the Denver region is it's called My Way to Go. So this is a program through the Way to Go outreach with all the TMAs. So this is kind of like a Google Maps. Anybody can use it. So it's mywaytogo.org. You put in your commute. It gives you your driving directions, but then you can click on biking, walking, your transit options, as well as carpool options. So this is really our carpool network program for the Denver region. And so it's your way to find carpool matches. We primarily use this tool with businesses. And so we can set up like a private network for a company. So it's just their employees, everyone's coming to the same site. They can see kind of where people are coming from that are close by together, hopefully get them to start talking and then carpooling. But we can use this for events. Again, you can go in on your own, put in your commute. You can kind of lay out like your week of commutes, kind of your behavior, and then say that you're open to carpooling. Obviously, the more people we have in this network, the more carpooling options that there's gonna be for people. It's a great resource that I think a lot of people don't know about, but it's also our tool to track trips through all of the Go-tober trips, any sort of like fun event, challenge or campaign. We use this tool, and then for businesses, we're able to kind of spit out the numbers that they want to see, like the CO2 reduction, the miles traveled in something other than drive-alone vehicles. So it's a good tool for the region that we have at our disposal. You may have seen some of this imagery around town. There's some billboards with this style graphics on it. But this is kind of our messaging for commuters. where we talk about the different options that people have. The one I wanted to highlight with this group that I think a lot of people also may not know about is School Pool. So School Pool is a program where we can sign up a school. We have to work with kind of the principal and vice principal and the administration, get that school signed up, and then we can get basically emails out to every parent who has a kid going to that school and try to, again, use that same kind of network of carpooling, but for people dropping kids off at school. So that helps with the congestion in and around a school, helps parents. You can take turns driving students to school. So it's another good resource that we have in the Denver area that I think is a lot of times not mentioned when we're talking about general kind of commuter campaigns. Again, we always look for the reasons and the benefits of trying to get people to look at different commute options. So really it comes down to, you can save money on gas and parking, you can reduce your stress from your commute. There's sustainability and environmental, kind of the climate change, air quality, and then active transportation. So helping you to stay active and healthy through your commute options. We have similar campaigns with employers and messages for employers and ways to kind of talk to them about employee retention. We talk to them about van pools. Van pools are kind of a graduated carpool program. So it's a carpool that's been doing really well for a long time, really kind of consistent. We have subsidies to get them a vehicle. That's a van pool, way to go kind of branded vehicle. There's subsidies for the fuel. We just need someone to drive it, and we have to get like so many people in that carpool. We also talk to employers about eco-pass programs. The other one that's not mentioned a lot is guaranteed ride home. So that's kind of the safety net. If you take public transit, or say you're in a carpool and something comes up in the middle of the day and you need a ride home, you need to get home or get to your kid during the day, this is kind of that safety net of a free ride that you have access to. It's generally coupled with the eco-pass program, but it can be a standalone program that like a business can buy into. Again, we kind of look at ways and reasons, benefits for employers to incentivize their employees, or basically have them kind of offer up these benefits to their employees. We talk about attract and retain quality employees, lowering their personal parking costs, which is hard for us in kind of Northeast Denver. Parking is usually abundant. But again, limiting greenhouse gas emissions for a company, reducing payroll taxes through like the past programs, it can be like pre-tax. So a few other projects that we have going on. The Central 70 project, we have a contract with CDOT on. If you guys haven't been down there in a while, it has changed immensely. You wouldn't even recognize it from what it used to be with the viaduct. So we have community programs there, business outreach programs to reach businesses affected by the construction project. But we also just this summer got e-bike libraries, so electric bike, basically like lender programs. We have RTD monthly pass programs there, a toll equity program, as well as some shuttle programs and walking school bus. That project has like another, I think, a year left on it. Our newest one that we're super excited about is the Montbello Connector. So this is in partnership with the City of Denver and the city's new Office of Climate Action, where we brought free microtransit shuttles to Montbello. The only stipulation is that your trip has to start and end in Montbello, but it's open to anybody to use. It's completely free. It's Monday through Friday. It's basically a local transit service. We have apps in Spanish, and you can also call in to get that service. So it's kind of this on-demand service within the community of Montbello. We hope that this is super successful so that we can continue to kind of bring this to other communities. So we see this as a pilot, as kind of phase one with the city, and hopefully we can bring this to other communities in Northeast Denver. Another one we've been working on is transportation information screens. So we like putting these up at larger businesses, but also community centers. We have one up at a coffee shop where we can cater it to the business, and we can show kind of real-time bus route information. So you can actually see like when that bus is coming by. Super helpful to just be able to look at the screen, kind of see that bus and where it's at in real time. We can cater it to a specific location with multiple routes. So if you guys know of any good locations, we're looking to get more of these up. All we need is access to a plug and Wi-Fi. We also have a Colfax grant right now. Every 2 years, there's some grant opportunities that come up for the TMAs. Currently, we're working on a Colfax corridor grant to look at TDM solutions for small businesses along that corridor, working with the business improvement districts along Colfax. This is kind of to help basically get people thinking about the bus and different transportation before the BRT eventually comes down that corridor. And then lastly, the Denver's TDM requirement, which is brand new. I think they've presented here at this meeting over the past year, but we're starting to get developers within the Central Park community reach out to us to help them kind of with this TDM requirement. So it's a requirement where they would have to kind of install like more bike parking or bike facilities within their footprint, or offer like pass programs with their development. So we're excited to be working with developers kind of in the Central Park community on this currently. We actually have a meeting Friday with a new developer looking to break ground. So every new development has to go through this process. And so we're excited to be at the table with developers to help them through that. So I know that was a lot and a lot of projects and programs that we have, but it really all comes back to our mission, which is getting single occupant vehicles off the road and kind of transformed into more multimodal commuters. And so we hope that everyone kind of knows their options and has them in their back pocket so that it can become kind of this more habit. I think changing behavior is the hardest part of our job. And so the more we can kind of get people to just try different commutes, the more successful we're going to be. And I think that's it for me. I left all of our contacts. This is our whole team. That was a lot of projects. It's not just me there. This is our whole team and all of their emails. So please reach out to us if you have any questions about your commute or kind of transportation in general.
Thanks, Eric. That's fantastic. We've got a couple of minutes before public comment if there are any questions.
Eric, your timing with this school pool is perfect. You probably know how difficult it is right now in terms of school buses and the lack of drivers for various reasons. I was listening to a school board meeting yesterday about drivers who either aren't vaccinated or they just don't have enough drivers. So transportation right now for students and families, it's really, really tough. This is a huge issue. So I'm really excited to know about this, and I'm looking forward to doing a little research myself about some details. You mentioned when you had the Central 70 project, is it walking school bus? What is that? I don't know that I heard you say it.
Yeah, so that's basically exactly what it says, a walking school bus. So it's basically a group of parents that kind of walks with the kids. So you have to be kind of within walking distance to the school.
Okay.
But it's a way to have kind of chaperones, parents lead a group of kids. So think of it as like a carpool without a car. And so you walk to school together, but they would meet at a specific area in a neighborhood. The kids would kind of meet there, and then only a couple parents would kind of chaperone them and walk them to school so that the other parents could go about their day, and the parents would take turns. But that was really successful with the Central 70 project in those neighborhoods. Again, it has to be within walking distance, so it's limited on who it benefits, but it's definitely a fun community networking and a fun way to get to school for the kids. So yeah, definitely reach out if you kind of want more information on that.
I love that. Thank you.
That puts us right at time. Eric, thank you so much. We'll post this video this recording as we always do.
Thank you guys so much.
Mark, if you don't mind taking back control of the screen, and we can put up time for public comment. Does anyone have a comment they would like to make? If not, I'll suggest that the board take the 5 minutes for a break before we transition to our board meeting. Don't want to cut this off prematurely. Any takers? Doesn't look like it. All right, board. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. Everyone's more than welcome to stay for the board meeting if you wish, and we'll be back here in about 5 minutes.
Thank you very much.
I see people trickling back in. Hi, Amanda.
Sorry for joining the meeting a little late today.
That's okay. I can't tell whose camera and is off and muted because they're not there, or because they're. If you're there, could you just turn one or the other on?
This is Liz. I'm here.
Hi, Liz.
I'm here. Can you guys see and hear me?
Yes.
I cannot. I am with Nor. Kaylee is actually getting his booster shot right now.
Oh.
So I am with Nor watching Harry Potter. So
Right.
I am here though.
Which one?
Oh, this is which one are we watching? We're watching
with Luna.
the one with Luna. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, we may ask Jamie to share her
That
screen.
narrows it down. Yeah.
She's just learned the word bloody hell, and I'm not going to stop her from saying it.
We had a long conversation about disembowelment because of Harry Potter.
I love it. Oh my God.
Weasley brothers felt threatened for disembowelment by their own mother. So
Funny.
Yes, it is, Nor. Anything that builds, I'm in favor of anything that builds vocabulary.
Oh my gosh, we can't get this girl to stop talking. I was like,
okay. And bloody hell will come in handy for the rest of her life. So.
Agreed.
Sounds like she's ready for Ted Lasso.
Funny.
And why am I laughing, Nor?
Why is she laughing?
I can't stop laughing, Nor.
Stump
the 4-year-old.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Well, why don't we get started, Mark? If you wouldn't mind just giving 2 or 3 slides to the committee updates. This, just as a reminder for folks, is just a chance for any committees to bring matters back to the board that you could use a hand with. Want to make sure we're aware of that kind of thing. I called out Carol on the list here specifically because she had proactively reached out asking for 3 or 4 minutes. So why don't we start with you, Carol?
Okay, sure. As you know, the Education Committee facilitated the candidates forum last month. And so I say thank you very much to the people on the committee who helped formulate questions and edited and refined and all that sort of thing. It was very, very helpful. The next project that actually has been going on since September, I sent an email, a letter to the public school, elementary schools in the neighborhood, and was going to do the secondary and then decided to start small. But it was essentially a letter that just said, how can we support? And then I gave a lot of different examples because sometimes it's not helpful to just say, how can we? It puts the onus on others. So, and then I thought, well, maybe that'll trigger some thinking if they see some real specific examples. And I heard from 5 schools. I met with 2 administrators from 2 different schools face-to-face. And then I heard from 3 others, and we've been communicating by email. And it's been very instructive. Schools need everything from tangible items that are very practical, like water bottles, water, hand sanitizers, masks, classroom snacks. So there's that tangible element. And then there's also they need volunteers. I had one principal say to me, and this is burned into my brain, we have run out of adults. There is a real crisis, not just in DPS, but across the country in terms of adults in classrooms, adults at school sites, and in many, many capacities. So they need volunteers, and they need people. This isn't just in terms of academics, but in terms of connectivity. That's what I'm calling it. When Eric was just talking about people walking children to school, that is this opportunity to connect with kids because that's what they need. You have probably read about suicides being up, mental health issues. It's really kind of catastrophic in this country, I think, in terms of what adults, staff, and students are going through at the moment. So I just wanted to get some specifics from them. I wanted to learn from them. I wanted to know who might their contact person be. So I got all of that information and really just learned that there needs to be a routine infusion of support in schools. And I'd like to see this happen, to grow this, not just in elementary schools, but grow it in the secondary schools as well. I had a chat, have had several chats with Brian Weber from the Foundation for Sustainable Urban Communities. And I'm going to put a little teaser in here because next month in December, at our December meeting, he's going to be speaking on behalf of the foundation. And as a result of some of the conversations that we've had, he's going to have some very specific ways that we can support schools in our neighborhood. So I'm looking forward to that. I also attend the Park Hill Neighborhoods for Equity and Education, and I've reached out to them to see what they're doing for their schools. So I just like to learn from other communities to see what's happening. And so they are, they have a meeting this Thursday about this very subject. And so I'm going to continue a conversation with them. And I've been talking to some other groups, so I'm just trying to get smarter about how we can support our kids and our teachers and other staff members in schools. Let's see, anything else? Oh, and on Friday, this is separate from the education committee. Well, it's sort of the education committee, but Liz and I are going to meet with Travis Leiker from the Capitol Hill RNO, who has information about the Unhoused Action Coalition, and we tabled having a further discussion until we got a little bit more information. So Liz and I are going to meet with him on Friday to get some more information about the document that he has produced and that some other RNOs have signed on about in terms of the unhoused. Liz, what else do I need to say, or what do you need to say about that?
I don't really have too much else to say other than that. I mean, I'm familiar with some of the organizations that signed on, and I'm also familiar with some of the policies that are suggested and how they were developed. And I think that definitely, like in his ask, like for CPUN to sign on, it was very lacking in a lot of context. So right. I just wanted to be part of the discussion because it's kind of an area that I'm pretty familiar with. And I wanted to learn from him what he knows about the decision-making processes that the other organizations used when coming to a decision about signing on, and what some of the thinking was around that, so that we could bring that back to the board for more discussion. So I'm just happy to be kind of part of that conversation and learning more like you, Carol.
And you said that's Friday? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we're just the three of us are going to chat on Friday. And then we'll get back to you all about that. Informally, I will.
Great. Thank you. I want to go back to some of your diligence on the education side, Carol. Are you at the stage where you're kind of putting together all of the intelligence that you gathered? Is that a summary that you might provide
yes.
the board
yes.
with?
I did 2 Google Docs that I shared with the education committee. One was the very specific needs that were outlined at each school. So I have it by school. And then I did a separate document that was a summary of, in general, this is what they share in terms of needs. And that was, again, the tangible kind of items. And then also, because one school in particular they even had Amazon links. They were very specific. And then just what people mentioned in terms of how we could use volunteers.
Okay. What we might add to that, we'll have to go through and see if it's still relevant or useful, but pre-COVID, Amanda and I did a similar survey of administrators in the community and their needs at that time. The nature of those conversations, and Amanda, let me know if you would characterize them differently, was less tactical in terms of we need these specific things, and more about the challenges that any given school was facing at the time. Newer schools have different challenges than more established schools, for example. Amanda, would you add anything to that?
Well, the context of those conversations was before the CPAC meetings, where that was where the bond and mill levy were being discussed. And so it was just to kind of keep in mind what the area schools would want going into the bond and mill levy discussions. And so this is pretty different.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess similar in that it would just be on a much smaller scale, you know, like schools in that conversation didn't come through us to say it, but things that they proposed directly to DPS included things like revamping the entrance for like safety reasons, which would be like a multi-$1,000 project. So those were like much bigger asks when they happened.
Yeah, it might just, if my thinking is that if it's been so long since I looked at those notes, but that they might contribute to a broader profile of schools in the community, and that what action plans the education committee might want to pursue could either, you know, leverage that information or not. It could just be that, like you said, the scale is totally out of whack. But that's where I'm kind of going next, which is the whatever Brian has in mind notwithstanding, are you starting to organize potential action plans around this that are CPUN appropriate, or are you still at the kind of organizing and sorting stage?
The latter.
Okay. With respect to what Brian intends to share next month, is that how can I want to make sure that this board is prepared for that, so that if there's ways that we can supplement, I mean, I don't know what we're talking about here necessarily. So, but if there are ways that we can supplement that, I'd rather be ahead of it than reacting to it, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Carol, how is Denver doing with COVID numbers in the schools? I mean, I've been told by some Denver public schools are doing pretty well. My mom's teaching in Arvada and they're closed for the week because their COVID numbers are so high. Like, are schools needing a lot of support in that way?
Well, I think the numbers are up in terms of vaccinations. And of course, now we have the kids that are the younger children who are being vaccinated. So that will be helpful. So ask your question again, Jamie.
Are schools needing, how are Denver public schools doing with their numbers? And are they needing support in terms of, you know, COVID prevention, masks, that kind of thing?
Yes. That was actually something that I asked when I did a list of tangibles. I mean, I did everything from classroom snacks to books to, you know, I was just trying to think of all kinds of things that are sort of, we take for granted sometimes, but yes, several schools asked for masks. So, and we also, I'm schooling myself again. I came out of San Diego Unified, working there in different capacities. And so I know about that in terms of foundations, in terms of PTAs and what they do or, you know, they can't do. I spoke to one, and so there's that varies wildly in terms of financial support and through a PTA from school to school. But yes, so some very practical things like masks. And then I had a principal say, you know, we have money, but we can't spend money on A, B, C, D, for instance. So I'm learning a lot in the moment right now about that. But people were, I didn't write just to principals. If they had social workers, if they had psychologists, because I wanted to get a sense from other people, whether they're in a leadership position or not, but a staff member and the kids, the capacity that they take care of children. And so I wanted to hear from different people, not just administrators, about what needs they might have. And again, it's this adult presence just is repeated again and again and again.
So I want to be sensitive to other committees and the rest of the agenda. Are there other committees that have anything you want to talk about? A lot of outreaches will be coming next.
Hi, this is Liz. I just wanted to report out on the DEI committee.
Great.
Just two quick updates. We have all of the results of the DEI survey. And we've just kind of been a little stalled on the data analysis. The committee member who kind of that's his area of expertise has had kind of spotty availability. And so we're working to kind of connect and get through that. But when we actually have been able to kind of go through that with him, what we'd like to have is just kind of summary of some of the, what we see as the most interesting results and kind of a little profile of the community that, the CPUN board and other committees might be able to use to inform some of their work. So that's, kind of slow, but it will move forward. The other update, we had kind of our working meeting for the DEI committee last week, and decided, since the MCA delegate elections are coming up, and there are actually a few, there are some vacancies, there are a couple of contested races, just to kind of help folks on our email list understand a little bit more about the candidates. We have put together like a very brief questionnaire, but just kind of asking candidates, why are you running to be an MCA delegate? What are some, what is your understanding of diversity, equity, and inclusion? And just so so the idea is to send that to some of the candidates running, and then to share, and to also let them know, we just want to share some of this information with the folks in the DEI committee email list to kind of, just let them know this is happening. Here's who's running. Here's who, how this should hopefully help you decide if you're voting in one of those neighborhoods. That's why I'm actually the one giving the DEI update, because Shalise is actually one of the candidates for that, and so she's recused herself from this process for our committee. But I just wanted to give everybody else a heads up that that's something that we hope to kind of get out to the candidates in the next weeks before voting is happening. And if anybody has any ideas on how we can contact some of the candidates, other than just kind of reaching out through the MCA, we're happy to take some suggestions, but it's just kind of 3 questions.
Liz, I do have email addresses for each candidate that I can
Okay,
share with
great.
you.
Jack, can I just reach out to you? It's like literally 3 questions on a Google form and pretty painless.
Yeah, just shoot me an email and we can discuss more.
I'll do that. Thank you. And that's and then we have our we've moved the DEI committee meetings, kind of the public facing meetings, to every other month. And so our kind of like semi-monthly meeting is next Tuesday. And we'll see how we do on attendance, since it is a holiday week, but just wanted to let folks know that we will have that meeting next week.
Liz, any other thoughts or questions about that? Any other committees have anything they want to discuss?
Yeah, I can share some, I feel like a broken record at this point, but supposedly Dottie has informed us that the protected bike lane on Central Park from Montview to 35th will be officially commencing the week of 12/6 and actually wrap up the week of 12/13.
Oh.
So really fast.
That's really fast.
Yeah. And as you recall, the other fun part that I think some of the people on this board participated in is the dog on the bike sort of logo in the bike lane. So I'm working with Dottie around doing a celebratory event that I may be the only attendee yet because it'll probably be in mid-December. But if anybody wants to put on their base layers and winter jacket and hop on their bike, myself and the Dottie sort of engineering manager for the area, we've both committed to riding part of the bike lane in mid-December. So if anybody else wants to join, we're going to try and have some PTA reps because obviously it touches several schools along that road. And then we're going to try and get some local businesses involved that are along that Central Park Boulevard as well to really encourage, as kind of Eric was talking about earlier today, that it's possible to kind of bike and be a part of the community and go do your normal things in the neighborhood by bike on a new protected bike lane. So hopefully we can get more of those. So look for hopefully a note on that once they actually start striping in early December.
Brad, I will be there with balloons and bells.
Yes,
and
excellent.
Maybe
I was hoping you would say that.
When is this thing happening?
So we're going to do it once it's officially done. So what the Dottie rep and I have talked about is somewhere around like the 15th or 16th of December, assuming again the contractor gets it done by then. So I'll have more info, I think probably post Thanksgiving to do it. But like we've got their like PR persons all about it. So they've been doing a couple of these around the city, but as I mentioned before, this is going to be the longest protected bike lane outside of downtown in the whole city. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, congratulations, Brad. This is really nice to see coming to fruition. Please do keep us in the loop on when that's going to happen. I'd love to be there as well.
Cool. Well, I hope it's done and we have pictures or video.
Yeah.
By I guess our next meeting. We'll see.
That's really fun. Anybody else? If not, let's move on to the discussion of the survey. On the next slide there, Mark, Liz had just checked in on the number of people that have completed it to date, and we're only at about 240 something, which is pretty low. With roughly a week to go, we would like to get that number close to 1,000. That would put us, Amanda, correct me if I'm wrong, but reasonably close to what those surveys have done in the past. So I think the first ask of this board is that we make a serious push here in the next few days to get that number up as high as we possibly can. Jack, I wonder if we might be able to get a line about it in an MCA newsletter this week if it's not too late.
That's a good question. I know they go out tomorrow, so we might have missed the vote this week. Diane is the one who writes those, so you might shoot her a note. That is
close. Yeah, I figured
that it's outside the list of things I deal with. So Diane is the better person to talk to about that.
Sure, no problem. But if just a request to the board that if you could share this with your neighbors, your friends, get it out on social media. We'll get it in the newsletter. It's going out, but anything we can do to kind of get these numbers up would be much appreciated, because obviously the more reflective of the community it will be. Amanda, when we did these in the past, did we do anything differently than what we've been doing in terms of getting turnout? I don't recall us doing anything particularly unique.
I think that in the past there's been a major issue around which we've been seeking community input, and this survey isn't really anchored on one particular topic.
I think that's right.
Or two or three.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It's just kind of general.
Yeah, so less motivation. But when we do get the results back, and again, we close on the 24th of November, Mark has graciously agreed to provide us with a high-level summary or report out, kind of like what Liz was just describing with the DEI survey, of this community survey. If there are specific, and Mark, you can qualify this however you want, because I know the ask is of you. If there are specific answers you'd like from that survey that maybe pertain to your committee, Mark said he'd be willing to dig into that data a little bit deeper. Would you qualify that, Mark?
Yeah, I'm struggling with exactly what to say because we usually haven't had this much trouble getting participation from the community on these surveys. Like that's a much lower number considering we had, like 1,000 people click on the link when we sent out the email the first time.
Yeah.
So is that like completing the survey or starting it or whatever? Because I wasn't sure if there's like a big drop off somewhere or what.
Yeah, I'll defer to Liz. She owns or has ownership of that email account and could get into the back end.
I actually, I was counting, there's like updates. I actually don't have the login information for the Survey Monkey. I think Shalise has that and I asked her about that. But the DEI email does get daily updates on the number of completed surveys. But I right now haven't had a chance to kind of dig deeper into like, are people starting the survey and not completing it? I'm just kind of getting the daily numbers of completed surveys.
Okay, thanks. That's helpful because I mean, usually in the past we've had like enough from each sub neighborhood that I can kind of look at some of those things for my own personal, for lack of a better word, nerdiness or something about it, just wanting to look at everything. But those are pretty low numbers. It's hard to take 200 and some people and split them into 12 neighborhoods and have a decent number in each area. So we should probably think about some language about don't miss out on your chance to, have your say or let us know what your priorities are or something like that. So, but yeah, if there's anything that any kind of splits or crosstabs or pivot tables or whatever phraseology you guys are used to that you want to see, I'm happy to take a look at a few things. Please don't ask, I want to see this by every question because that ain't going to happen. But if there's specific questions you want to see or you want to see how it breaks down or something, let me know.
And then we can, once we've got that report from Mark, we'll want to make sure that we're thorough in reporting out to the community on what those key findings were, as we've done in the past. Amanda, I think when in the past you sort of drafted a couple of paragraphs or whatever, right, that sort of summarize the key points or key findings in the survey. Is that right?
Right. So I guess I would summarize just basic information about when it was fielded, what the response looked like, and then a summary of what people kind of with each stakeholder in mind, like when we had questions from the library, when we had questions from developers, that sort of thing. And I would draft like bits to like send off to those parties.
Yeah.
And then like one piece that could just go with each of them just to describe the base of it.
Yeah.
Are you, is that role still available?
Yeah. I mean, please feel free.
Okay, yeah. And Liz, that offer would still stand for you guys too with the DEI survey if things just don't come together with the committee member. I could take both of these, but I couldn't look at either of them before Thanksgiving.
Oh, no worries. We will get back to you on that if necessary. Thank you.
Hey Jeff, shouldn't we keep it open longer if our numbers are so low?
It's not a bad idea. We could, if that's what it comes to, we should do that. There's no real harm in it.
Yeah.
We'll see we could probably look at a Survey Monkey probably produces sort of a chart of sort of daily participation rates, right? And if there's any signs of life, we should keep it open.
Yeah, and it seems like, I mean, your MCA email seems like a really good idea if we haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
Well, so one other thing that can incentivize survey participation, and I think the DEI committee did this, was the opportunity to like win a prize, get entered into a drawing to win a prize. So we could always do like a $100, $200 gift card or something like that for one winner. I don't know if the DEI folks ever got in touch with their winner or not, but I know that they had some trouble at first.
We have to select another one because
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what you can do.
Yeah,
Find a new one.
Shalise like repeatedly contacted, I suppose you can speak to this too, Shalise, but repeatedly contacted the person who won and received no response. So we have to get on getting another one.
Liz, you're correct. Also, I was looking at the CPUN website. Where is the survey link located?
I'm not sure it's on the website. We've only circulated it through email and social media. So that's another low-hanging fruit thing that we can do to improve visibility for sure. Okay. Well, let's just keep after it, kind of play it by ear here over the next couple of days, but we should be prepared to extend it if need be. But in the meantime, do try to get the word out if you can. Next thing I want to mention is a guest speaker sign up. Carol mentioned that Brian will be presenting at the December meeting from the foundation. But then I'm looking for some volunteers from various committees to recruit and arrange for guest speakers between January and our annual meeting in May. That's 4 spots open. To date, I've got the education committee, the school board candidates forum outreach did, both Alex Foster and Paul Lopez. And so looking for other committees to jump in and organize a guest speaker if you can. Like I said, January to May, or excuse me, through April are the months I'm looking for. Just a few ideas that have come up that might help spark some discussion in your committees. Mark had suggested that a update on the I-70 project, as 2022 is scheduled to be the final year of construction. It might be a good point to check in sometime early in the year to say, you know, what's left to be done and on what timeline and that kind of stuff. The street racing task force that came up with Officer Jenkins earlier is another, but welcome committee participation.
Hey, Jeff, health and safety will work on something with the police department.
Great.
For either January or February.
Great, that would be fantastic. And just let me know and we'll get it built into the deck and all that kind of stuff. Any questions about that or any thoughts? If not, we'll go on to the letter to the city.
Sorry, I was on mute. I had one thought.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I liked the approach tonight of having one of our regular community partners do a deeper dive. I think that was actually very helpful. So it might be helpful for some of the others that we have, or maybe Bluff Lake or Sand Creek or something like that, to have a similar opportunity.
Yeah, I'm glad you like that. I was sort of thinking about what to do for the month and had the same thought. And I reached out to the community partners to let them know that Eric was going to take that time and that if they were interested in doing so, that we would get them on the schedule as well, because I did find it helpful to take a step back from the regular updates from Eric for the bigger view. So that's always an option as well. For the letter to the city regarding the mural, I'm going to turn this one over to Amanda. This originated with her and she can get everybody up to speed.
Yeah, is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So I'll put that over here. So I attended a CAB meeting for the first time, I think, and it was this past Thursday, and Mo, who's the new executive director of Sand Creek, was there talking about a mural that they have funding for, and she had a concern that they would lose the funding if the mural couldn't be installed by the end of this year. In the days since that meeting, there has been an extension from the funding source that if this issue that I'll describe in a second isn't sorted out by the end of 2021, they won't lose the $7,500, but that was the motivation for I don't know, trying to get things moving. But so this is one of the issues where, and Jack, you might be able to speak to this better than I can. Park Creek owns the land where the mural is going to go. That land is beneath Central Park Boulevard Bridge. So Sand Creek goes beneath that. And so this is, trying to make this a little bit bigger for anyone who's, okay, so Sand Creek goes beneath the Central Park Boulevard Bridge. And so this would be a mural on the wall below Central Park Boulevard. The cost of it is $7,500. They have a grant for that amount. And the, I don't know, so Park Creek owns the land and it'll be transferred to the city. But Park Creek wants assurances that if they let the mural happen while they still own the land, it won't impede the eventual transfer to the city. So, you know, it's art and it's in public. And yes, Jack.
Well, yeah, okay. These are, okay. So a couple of things going on here. First, I don't think that land is ever getting deeded to the city. I think Park Creek keeps that land because the city doesn't like to deal with things that require paint. The MCA deals with things that require paint. I won't get into the complexities around that. Essentially, the city thinks that if so we have a lot of public art in the neighborhood here. The city doesn't want to have to bear the expense of public art, so they won't ever accept anything that's related to public art. They'll make the PCMD keep it, and then the PCMD will contract with the MCA to maintain and repair said public art. All right, that's the simple part of it. With this particular thing, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's where we go underneath the bridge, got nice concrete there. Right now, I think it's got a gang tag on it, which is on my list of things to clean up before at some point. There's a lot of graffiti that has to get cleaned up around here. But anyways, so I think that's where I'm talking about, you know, the bridge goes over and then we come around the bridge like this and then it comes here and it's all new. Am I talking about the right place? Yeah, okay. So is it that PCMD wants a letter from Denver saying that they can put a mural there and Denver saying, no, we can't write you a letter?
That seems, it has been called a paperwork issue. I was not aware that the city just flat out doesn't want the art. That was not something that anyone said. It was that, oh, it's just taking a long time. Maybe a letter would help. And then, so here's that letter. This is a letter asking for the citizen letter.
Sure. So what I'm curious to know is, I think with different departments that have different jurisdictions here, the trail itself would be Parks and Rec. I don't actually think that works as Parks and Rec. But then the concrete is would be done. So I don't.
So the person who the letter is to, so CAB, so this is officially a letter from CAB, they gave a list of down here that the letter would be sent to. And so I guess these people with the city, so Chris Harden and Bradley Chamberlain, so someone from Dottie, and then this public art administrator here, and then another public art program manager there. So those are the four entities with the city of Denver to whom this letter is going to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would hurt if we got on the letter bandwagon. I can confer with our legal counsel and figure out exactly what the liability concern is, and report back. But I think it sounds like we're hung up in the city somewhere, and the city is where most of my paperwork problems go to die. So I'll hear you.
So there's another mural that for people who aren't as familiar with Sand Creek, that's along the north shore of the creek, just west of the parking lot where oh goodness, where Westerly Creek intersects Sand Creek, and then there's a parking lot there. Thank you, Smithford Trail. That's what I was looking for. And so the mural that's down on Sand Creek around there has like a special like paint that is with it's supposed to make it easier to wash off graffiti. There's currently graffiti on it. And so they're using this opportunity to demonstrate how well they maintain their artwork and when faced with graffiti. And so I think that Sand Creek is keeping it upon themselves to maintain these murals and not assuming that it's something that the city would be doing.
Amanda Schultz, are you still there?
I am still here.
Hi. As someone who is almost a recipient of this proposed letter, do you have any thoughts about how productive it would? I'm happy to send a letter, but I mean, you're here. I wonder if we might talk about what we could do to move this along.
I can tell you our office is well aware of this. Councilman Herndon actually sits on the board of Sand Creek. So, and my colleague Leah would have more details about where we are in our process. I know she has been handling it, so I apologize. I don't have details on specifically where we are. I do know that she's been in touch with multiple different city agencies to try to work through some of these issues that you all have brought up. So we are well aware of it. A good letter never hurt anything. And, you know, certainly if you feel like there are other entities on here that would benefit from seeing our name on the list, by all means, go for it. But our office is well aware of this.
And just to be clear, this is a letter that was drafted by CAB.
Well, Amanda, was PCM, does PCMD, were they at the CAB meeting? I don't remember if they go to those or not.
No, nobody from PCMD was there.
And so has it been relayed to you that is PCMD the problem, or is it or do we think it's the city that's, because if it's PCMD, I do have scheduled time with council there already, so I could surface this, but if they're not the problem, I'm just trying to figure out where.
My read of this is that the city of Denver is unable to identify the authority who can provide that letter to PCMD. So PCMD wants a letter. Denver doesn't know how to designate, how to determine who to designate to write that letter. And they're calling it an administrative issue.
Okay.
Meaning we have to sort out who actually can give the heads.
I'm curious if this is not like other we're running into. So that was not, when we designate public art in the neighborhood, the city is not fond of then being under the maintenance obligation for such public art. So if we think about our alien dishes at Westerly Creek Park, if we think about
I think that the other Greenway mural is probably the best reference for this.
That right, but more broadly, public art in general, the city doesn't like to maintain that. So for instance, that concrete wall where that other mural is, city doesn't maintain that wall. It's the MCA's wall, for lack of better terms. It's still the district's wall that the MCA maintains on their behalf, just to really confuse people more. So I think that because let me do some following up with some people and I can get back with everyone to figure out if there might not be another way that we can approach this issue.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more concrete by where the existing mural is. And I wonder why then they wouldn't just pick another concrete wall in that same area that's not part of this administrative issue.
So this letter's time sensitive by the sounds of things. Jack, how quickly do you think you could get back to us with additional information? I'm wondering if it's worth waiting for that before signing on and sending this, because it might maybe inform the way it's written or sent.
Sure, I can surface the issue at work tomorrow and have news in the next couple of days, Friday at the latest.
Does that make sense to you, Amanda?
I think that's fine. I think it's been helpful to just kind of talk through what some of the other constraints might be, because that wasn't a part of the context.
So I will just note that, we've seen this with other public art projects. For instance, we just finished a public art project at Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Moline Street. And the land where the art is, I want to say in the south side of MLK, that was originally right of way that the city owned. And the city threw a big fit about having to maintain art there. So we ended up vacating that right of way and making that property permanent property of the PCMD that would then one day, in probably when I die, that's how long it'll be. When they pay off all the bonds, then the MCA would assume ownership of that land, but that won't happen anytime soon. But long story short, they made it community. They changed the designation from trunk open space, which would be a city and county of Denver park, to intact open space, which would make it like, a pool or something that the MCA would then manage. And then we were able to build that public art project. So I'm wondering if it might not be a land designation that we need to look at changing would solve our problem. So those are questions that I will surface and return to the group with.
Thank you, Jack. We will await your findings, but hopefully we can get that before the end of the week. And Amanda, I'm happy to help, or even if that just means signing it and moving on. But,
yeah, just another thought to bounce off of everyone. Just if anyone with an engineering mind in the group can think about it. So would putting it on a bridge make it at risk of just losing it if something needs to be altered with the bridge? Like, wouldn't it be better to not have it on the bridge? Wouldn't it be better to have it on just one of the slabs of concrete along the greenway because of potential bridge maintenance?
Concern, yes.
Okay.
I mean, that bridge is got about a 15-year lifespan on it. So I don't remember the year when we finished the bridge, but I know that structurally it will have to be, portions of it will have to be replaced within the next 15 years. I would have to get out the documents to tell you the specifics of it, and I'm not an engineer, so I probably couldn't do it justice. But it's my understanding that all those components of the bridge were designed to, at some point, be replaced.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that why don't you bring back whatever you can find, and I'll follow up with Lucia and Sand Creek, with Mo at Sand Creek, and then ask these questions, and then we can determine what to do from there.
Thanks for taking this on, Amanda.
Well, sure. Yep. Sorry for bringing a letter for a signature and then coming up with more questions instead.
No, it's all right. Two more things we got to talk about. One is just the treasury thing. That should be just a quick scan for everybody to take a look at. Brian didn't provide any additional notes to the treasury report. Mark, do you mind just putting that back up on the screen? Thank you. Slide, where are we at? Almost the end. 16. Yeah, so I just take a quick look at that. I don't have anything to add to it, but just to make sure everybody's aware. We can hold this on the screen while we talk about the next topic, which is voting for the bylaws. Liz had asked if we could have a brief discussion about that. It wasn't on the original agenda, but she wanted to add to it. We've got some time to do so. So we have a sort of default voting method in the bylaws that I'll talk through. And then we have, that was established in the last couple of years when we did a little overhaul of our bylaw, the option to add additional methods of voting to that default method. However, that any new methods or additional methods such as electronic voting have to be announced 30 days prior to the vote, like the vote itself. So the window to add additional voting methods in this case has passed. The December 14th vote, as announced, will just be our default method. We can talk about whether that was an oversight on our part. We gave ourselves that option for sort of to, when we felt like it was particularly important for reach on a particular issue. We didn't have a specific scenario in mind, but we just wanted to have the option that a particular topic might require different voting methods for one reason or another. But we did not employ that in here. And so the vote is the default method, which is, and I'm looking at the bylaws now because I just want to make sure I'm reading it accurately. And it's what I said at the beginning of the outreach hour, is that any resident of Central Park with a Denver address who is over the age of 18 and present at the board meeting may cast one vote. So no proxy or absentee votes are allowed at this meeting. And voting will be done by sort of a show of hands in the Zoom setting.
If we're doing it in the Zoom setting, couldn't we just set up a poll in advance? Do we have that capability with the account, just to have it like electronic?
Ready to go? Yeah, I think we do. That's a good thought, Amanda. Let me make sure that we have that ready, because rather than show of hands, that would be sort of a funny way to do it. Let me make a note about that.
Yeah, I'm logged in as the host right now, and there's a poll pre-set up in here saying, do you support the slate of CPUN board members as proposed by the nominating committee? So apparently we have to do some sort of prep in advance to get that poll updated. I can launch it right now and we can vote on it if you want to test, but we don't have a slate right now. So. Yeah,
we should definitely do that. That'll be much more transparent and convenient.
So Brian might know how to do that since he's usually doing the hosting.
And then let's see, I just want to make sure I haven't omitted any qualifications for voting. Yeah, these, because they're bylaw changes, it takes a 2/3 affirmative vote for the bylaw to be adopted, and we'll vote on.
Not to be persnickety, but it's 66%, which is short of 2/3, so it's only 66%.
Apologies, Mark. Yes, 66%. Liz, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Because I was trying to understand how it would work for a Zoom, like a Zoom board. And so did the question. I just remember worse that was kind of a, kind of a larger, or I guess more consequential issue to the neighborhood and not just necessarily CPUN's bylaws. So I was just kind of wondering which method was being used and what the guidelines were around that. So yes.
Yeah, that's fair. I do think as a matter of practice going forward, anytime there's a bylaw change, we should just build it into our process, because I don't think that really happened this time, to say, is this a thing we want to add additional voting methods for? We didn't do that this time. So I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we're all getting the word out about the vote and encouraging people to join us and make sure that people are as aware as we can make that this is their vote really of this board. Anything to add to that from the officers or our former president? Okay. All right. Any questions about the treasury report? If not, we're going to get out of here 5 minutes early. 6. Well, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate everyone's time, of course. Thank you for everything that you're doing in the community. I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. And we'll see everybody on December 14th, our last board meeting of 2021.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, did you just 1 second? I'm going to talk about the right spot here on the map.
Is that Jack?
I'm just wondering if Amanda would be willing to just give me a